Oh, I didn't mean to do this. Hey hags, thanks for tuning back into my channel and into another episode of When Life Gives You Lemons. So first off, let me start off by apologizing. I keep doing this, like I pop up, give you a little taste, and then I'm like, just kidding. I'm like that stupid flirtatious girl that flirts but doesn't really flirt. Like, she bout it till it's time to execute. Like, that's what I think I'm feeling like I'm acting. So I'm really sorry for you can't keep running in and out of my life. So yes, anywho, now that's out of the way. Thing two, let me just tell you right now, if you don't love Jesus, you might want to exit out of this video. I'll catch you on the next one though. Not that I'm gonna bash Jesus in the next one, but this one is just about to be really preachy, okay? So if you don't want to hear a little mini testimony, sermon, whatever you want to call it, then you can exit now. I won't be offended at all. So, okay. Hey, all my Jesus lovers. No, just kidding. Like, I recorded on my freaking 2 gig memory card and insufficient space, so let me hurry up and spit this out to you guys. I recorded a video for you guys last week that I actually just deleted off of my memory card that's in now, because guess what, it's a new week, so I just didn't get around to editing it. I have a tutorial that's also sitting on there that needs to be edited and then saved and uploaded and all these other technical things. The internet was down at the house, and it just like spiraled into a big conglomeration snowball of excuses. So last week I was just telling you guys about some upcoming things and how, like, I was scared to be great. That's what I said. I was talking about how I was scared to be great and how you really don't have room for fear when you're called to be great. Like, that's it. And so let me catch you guys up. So if you've been looking at these, then I was supposed to be reading Purpose Driven Life. Well, I haven't read it in 3 weeks. I'm sorry, Rick Warren. Sorry, Purpose Driven Life. I'm sorry to all of you out there in the YouTube world that come across this and you're like, girl, where's your Purpose Driven Life tip for the video? I'm sorry. I really need to pick back up and get on the ball, get it rolling. Haven't been to church because I'm finding it really difficult to juggle school and work at the same time. It is like overwhelming. So instead of doing homework during the week, because I only go to school twice, Monday and Tuesday, but instead of doing my homework Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I kind of wait till Sunday, and then it's like, well, I can't go to church because I gotta do all this homework when I've had like 5 days to do it. So anyway, last week I was informing you guys of how I got a phone call on Friday while I was at work, from a school district that I had applied to about 1.5 years ago. For those of you that don't know, and I always say this when I'm talking about work, but for those of you that don't know, I work for the school district, and my position, I'm only 6 hours a day, and I'm 10 school days months. So that means that when the kids are not in school, I'm not in school. And unless it's a national holiday, I'm not getting paid. So I've been talking to my boss. One of the programs that is in-house with me, because my boss runs 2 programs. One of the programs is a 12 calendar month program. So they are at work 24/7. If the kids are out, doesn't matter, they're still there. And so I was like, yo, can you put me on their funding source? Like, I need these 8 hours and I need 12 months. I'm about to be 30. I can't be living in my parents' house for the rest of my life. Like, but I also can't afford to move out on my own with these pennies that's being thrown my way right now. And so it's just like, hee, ho, ho, you so crazy. We don't have no money. We don't have this. We don't have that, blah, blah, blah. So, I had gotten a part-time job. This time last year I had a part-time job. Just extra income. I was using my regular job to like pay off debt that's on my credit report. And I used Macy's to live off of. And Macy's pays you every Friday. So I was doing like 25 to 30 hours a week there, and then putting in 30 hours a week at the district. So I was working like 60 hours a week, and my paycheck from Macy's, I would have like $200 every Friday. So I would use that to cover gas, food. If I wanted to do shopping, like I would do it at Macy's, stuff like that. So in November of last year, I had gone to church with my mom, and on this particular Sunday, you know, one of the things that resonated in my spirit was, whatever it is not making you happy, drop it, bounce it, completely turn away and watch God work. And so immediately, like the moment the words hit my ears, my mind said Macy's. And I was like, because I'm just that crazy. I'm going to skip out on this extra anywhere from $650 to $800 a month, direct deposited every Friday at 12 midnight, sometimes a little before. I'm just that crazy. I'm just that crazy, God. I'm just that crazy. I'm done with it. Took a huge cut. Felt the burn immediately, from not having that Macy's associate discount to not having that extra $200. Like, who couldn't use an extra $200 a week? Especially as a single person with no kids, no husband, no financial responsibilities, liabilities, like any of that. I was just like, dang, what am I going to do? I was like a crackhead fiending for dough. I was just that crazy. So Thanksgiving break happens. And then winter break happens. Come back from winter break, and my boss is like, are you still doing your part-time? And I was like, girl, no, I quit them in November, you know, because I was in her office. Like, we were working on something, so I went back to working, blah, blah, blah. And she came out and she was like, perfect, because I have a PRF for you to work 8 hours a day. And I said, shut the front door. And she was like, no, you already give us the time, so you might as well get paid for it. And I said, you're kidding me. And she was like, no. So I said, God, you better show up and show out and act a fool and do all your Dominique's dolls gymnastics up in this school district. So that happened. Then that was at the start of this year. So by the time I got ready for summer, I was like, let me test the waters. Let me just see. Because Lord, you know what I want. You know what I'm in need of. So I go to her, and that's when I do the whole rundown of how I need like 8 hours for real. And I need 12 months. And shoot down. And I'm just like, you know what, God? Like, I'm going to remain faithful. I'm going to remain diligent. I'm going to do everything that you have instilled in me to do. But I'm trusting and believing, and I'm knowing that either way it goes, I'm going to be all right. So the school year starts, and I'm playing around at the district's website, and I see the adult school schedule, and I'm like, what's this all about? So I click on it. They have a medical assisting class. Now, if you don't know, medical assisting courses are extremely expensive. I got mine for free. And it's only, I mean, if I would have had to pay, it would have only been $11. But I'm in it for free because I work for the district. And I said, God, you better do it. You better do it. Because my aunt works at a prominent hospital, and she holds a very prestigious position with them, and so she could easily get me in. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna hustle and bustle, you know, 2 years. I can give them 2 more years, like whatever, it's no big deal. And so then, like maybe a couple of weeks ago, I got some bad news. We had posted a new position within our program that was going to be lucrative pay, and if they're thinking like I'm thinking, they will promote from within the program, because it'll be somebody that's extremely familiar with all of the operations of the program and what's expected of the program anyway. And then that would free up one of the 8-hour positions, because it would free up a person that I'm providing clerical support to. And so, you know, in my head, I'm just like, oh, that's great. Like, one of them, because they all applied, I do believe. So one of them takes it. I become them, and then they just hire to fill my 6-hour position. But until they do, you know, no big deal. I can still do all my clerical duties. It's no problem, because that's what I do. And so I'm like, boom, got it, problem solved. Well, I have this dialogue aloud with my boss, and my boss is like, no, if we promote within, that person's going to have to do their job that they're doing now in addition to the new position. And I felt like I took the biggest blow to the chest. Like, I was just like, it was just, I felt life leave me. And I had never felt so betrayed and so backstabbed and so deprived and denied in my life. Like, I was just like, this is crap. This is for the birds. And so when I found that out, immediately I get on my cell phone and I send my Lifeline a text message. That's my mom, my dad, and my sister. I send them a text message and I say to them, quote, I'm going to quit. And, you know, because this is irrational. One of the things the pastor talked about today was how our heart, like he came from Proverbs 23, you know, whatsoever a man thinketh, so is he. And he broke down the definition of think, and he broke down, or whatever is in a man's heart, or something like that. I don't know. I forget how the verse goes, but y'all know what I'm talking about. You read the Bible, you better be reading the Bible, you better at least know that scripture. Anyway, so he talks about, you know, the definition of heart and how it's the core and it's the center of, you know, your emotions and your passion and all this other stuff. And so emotionally, not logically, but emotionally, I was responding and I said, I am going to quit. And my logic, my lifeline, my logic, they're like, why? What for? What's going on? And immediately, like, I get an outpour of spiritual backup to attack the spiritual place that I was in, which was a negative space. It was the spirit of anger, the spirit of, it was just anger. The spirit of anger was on me. The spirit of rage was on me. The spirit of hurt, the spirit of brokenness, and the spirit of defeat. And they just began to minister to me, and I'm just like, I don't know how much more I can take. I don't know how much longer I can hold in there. And like spiritually, I allowed myself to just be broken down to the lowest denominator. And whenever that happens, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't know if it happens to you guys, but I always troll off into this like, why God? Like, why me, God? And so that's what I did. And I was like, you know what? It's whatever. You know what? It's whatever, God, because I'm not working for them. I'm working for you. I'm working for the students that I help make a difference with. That's it. Cool. Whatever. So fast forward, Friday before last, I get a phone call on my cell phone from a blocked number. Don't answer, because that's just how I do. And they leave a voicemail. Don't really check it, because I don't believe in checking voicemails either. So it's kind of like a lose-lose for you. If your number ain't stored in my phone and you don't leave a voicemail, you don't hear from me. If your number ain't stored in my phone, you do leave a voicemail, I may not check it. So maybe like a couple of hours later, I decide, you know what? Let me see who this was that called me. I check it. It's a voicemail from another school district that I had applied to a year and a half ago. I went through the entire process, passed both tests, did the initial interview, and was on the eligibility list. I was either 3rd or 4th ranked on the eligibility list. And they have an opening that's coming up. And she said, you know, it's an 8-hour position. We're scheduling interviews for next week, which was this past week. So call me back, schedule your interview if you're still interested, blah, 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 blah. So I then get on the phone with my sweetie pie and I talk to him. I tell him, you know, about the voicemail, tell him about, you know, like, don't make a biased decision, because he's a guy, and, you know, man, it's not from here. Mostly it's like from here. Like, the men in my life, for the most part, currently, the men in my life, they're very logical. And so he comes from here. And so for him, it's just like, what is there to think about? Just a couple of weeks ago, you were saying how much you hated the place, you wanted to quit, you didn't have anything lined up. So now you're telling me that you have an opportunity to get out of there, and you're asking me if I think you should take that opportunity? Nothing to think about. Slam dunk the funk. Yes. Schedule it. And I'm just like, you know, but I have the medical classes and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay, you're making excuses. Like, do you want to stay? And so that's what my video was about last week. Like, the making excuses and the fear of greatness. Because I began to make excuses. I was like, well, you know, I'm taking these medical assisting classes. You know, I'm doing really great. I have a 96%. Like, I don't want that to be in vain. And he was like, but you're taking the medical assisting classes so that you can get you 12 months, 8 hours a day, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, and it's going to be at the adult school where they offer these classes, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, so what's the problem again? And I was like, okay, you're right. But then it didn't stop there. So then I hit up my favorite coworker in the whole wide world, and I let him know. I was like, yo, I got a phone call from this other school district for an 8-hour position. Like, what do you think? He's like my big brother. And he was like, I'm sorry, why are you on the phone with me and not on the phone with them scheduling your interview? And I was like, okay, got it. So, talked about it with my lifeline when I came home, and they were like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Yeah, do it, girl. So Monday morning comes, and like over the weekend I was like, okay, because I didn't know if it was 12 months or not. So over the, oh my god, this is really long and it's blinking red. So over the weekend, I was like, okay, well, if it's just a 10-month position and it's not a 12-month position, maybe I'll use this as leverage with my boss now and tell her, yo, this person over here is willing to offer me 8 hours a day straight up, like no stipulations on it. 8 hours a day, 10 months, match me. And I made the phone call Monday on my way into work, and this is how I know that God is crazy like me. You know, oh, and so another thing that I said in my video is that you really need to be careful of what you say, both good and bad. Like, you really need to be careful. And when you ask God to move, and when you tell God that you're ready to move, don't try to act like all of a sudden you don't know how to move when he moves you. So I call just to please myself. I call, and the HR rep said, it's a 12-month, 8-hour a day position at the adult school. The hours will be 10 to 7, Monday through Thursday, and 8 to 4, 7 to 4 on Fridays. I said, it's what? And she said, it's a 12-month, 8-hour position. I said, oh, okay. Are you still accepting interviews? And she said, yes. And she penciled me in. And I went in there, and one of the things that the pastor said today is that God has blessed you with so many different talents, and it's up to you to use those talents to glorify him. And so he was like, you know, God has given some of you guys charisma. He has given some of you guys character, personality, like all these great things that you aren't deserving of. He just gave it to you, and it exudes, like it is who you are. And you need to walk in that. You need to accept it, and you need to walk in it. And while he was preaching, I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? And that's exactly what it is. It was nothing but God. I know that God is crazy. Crazy just like me, because I am made in his image. But the thing is he is not me. So that's why I love him even more. And so I know. And like I was telling my lifeline and my honey sugar sweetie pie, I was like, you know, either way it goes, I still come out on top. If I get this position, I come out on top. If I don't get it, I come out on top. Worst case is I stay at the position that I'm at, and I continue with my medical assisting courses, and I bounce in 2 years. Best case scenario, I go over here to this new district, and I'm able to move out by my 30th birthday. Like, it's a win-win. And I cannot, like, when I say that I cannot, like, I cannot thank God and praise God enough for just all that he has done in the last couple of weeks, from taking me to a professionally emotional low and lifting me back up, just knowing that I still have it. Like, knowing that there is something that is within me that an employer can see enough in to even invite me back for a second interview. Like, it's completely overwhelming, and it's not the end. It's a new beginning. And I was pretty worried and like kind of nervous. It was like all under wraps, but I told some of like my favorite coworkers in the office already, and they were like, dude, it's not going to be the same. And I'm just like, right. And I should not let myself become a slave to the district just because I'm so great. Like, I have to continue to move in my greatness, because that's what God has for me. He has financial freedom for me. He has vacations for me. He has me being able to take care of my parents instead of my parents taking care of me. Like, he has that all in store for me. I put my vision out there. Excuse me. I put my vision out there. I have it on the board. I have goals, dreams, aspirations written on that board. And I'm just sitting back and letting God do it. And it is great. It is great riding in the passenger seat of your own life and just letting God drive. I challenge you all to just accept your greatness, whatever it is that you're great at. If you're great at sewing, if you're great at singing, if you're great at writing, if you're great at reading, if you're great at planning an outfit, if you're great at planning a get-together for your friends, if you're great at decorating a room, if you're great at web design, if you're great at Excel, if you're great at QuickBooks, whatever it is that you are great in, I double dog dare you to just operate in it, to move in it, to turn it over to Christ and tell him to bless it in his way so that you can be a blessing to his people, and watch him act a fool. Watch him act a fool. Okay. I'm done preaching now. So I love you guys. This is really long. I don't even know if I'm going to edit it. Probably just going to upload it like this. And I will catch you in the next video, which I promise won't be so long, because all I'll have to say is God act a fool again and I got the job. Okay. Love you, hacks. Bye.